Why hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. This is the second episode in my quest to 100%-ish my Animal Crossing New Horizons save file. If you didn't see it last month's episode, I definitely recommend checking it out before coming back to this one, just so you can get a sense of what my parameters are for trying to complete this game. But if you can't be bothered to check out that video, here's the too long didn't read. I basically nearly got to the point of throwing my Switch out of the window while attempting to catch the hellspawn, which is the sea pig. Just before we get into this episode, I want to know if you are trying to complete your island along with me. If so, what stuff have you got to do before the end of February? Let me know in the comments down below. Now we're all caught up, let's move on to today's episode. One thing we crossed off the list more or less instantly was hitting the final level of the Gyroid Getter Nook Mile achievement, which felt like a great start to the episode. I then headed over to my dealer / cousin Crazy Red to pick up some art. After that, I gathered a bunch of art and statues which had been gathering dust in my storage to see which ones could be donated to the museum. I'm assuming I have acquired these during my numerous Nookazon experiment videos, but I'm not 100% sure. Then I headed over to the museum and it turns out that 3 of these art pieces were authentic, and those were the basic painting, the ancient statue and the warrior statue. So I am glad to have 3 pieces knocked off the list, because let me tell you, the list of the art that I still need is pretty damn large. And while I was making this list of all the art I still need to collect, I ran into Molly and I loved seeing how she had dialogue for the specific painting she was looking at. Socializing for less than a minute, however, did get me a little bit thirsty, so while I was in the museum, I ran in to see Brewster for a coffee. Embarrassingly, this made me hit the Nook Mile achievement for having 5 cups of coffee in the roost. Jesus, we got Brewster like back in November. Now, with my introvert batteries refilled with caffeine, I went to Stitch's birthday party. I gave him the usual wrapped assessed fossil, which he was pretty hyped about. I'm aiming to go to all my villagers' birthday parties this year, if I remember. Then I headed to Harv's Island, which we didn't actually do last episode. The first thing I did was purchase Kickstall, which is the second to last one I need until I've bought all of them, and I was very surprised to see that 25,000 bells had already been donated. Next, I headed over to Red's stall and I bought his real beautiful statue to donate to the museum. This was actually the 20th piece of art I've purchased from him, which let me check off the final stage of the Patrons of the Art Nook Mile achievement. The last thing I did while I was at Harv's Island today was get my fortune told by Katrina. As bad as this is, I think this was the first time I actually got my fortune told by her. I was half expecting to get a Nook Mile achievement for that, but no. I wish they added a few more of these Nook Mile achievements for more of these characters which came with the 2.0 update, but I should probably shut up and be grateful for how much we already got. Before we moved to a day later in the evening to get some fishing done, there were a few odd jobs I still wanted to get out of the way to help us make a little bit more progress towards some goals. First was running around my beaches and snagging any shells I could find, along with ones that I've already got in my home storage to sell to the raccoon babies, and this got us past the 4th tier of the Go Ahead Be Shellfish Nook Mile achievement. I have a feeling that if I'm really diligent with collecting shells from now on, I should easily be able to hit the 5th tier by the end of this year, which requires me selling 1,000 shells in total. I then ran up to the farm by my house and harvested all the crops, and doing this got us past the 4th tier of the Nook Mile achievement, which was great. Considering how I'm planning to build some more farmy areas on my island, I also have full faith that we'll be able to hit the 5th tier of this achievement fairly easily. While I was here, I noticed that CJ was on my property, so I tried burying him, politely prompting him to inspect this cool star on the ground. As it turns out, he was immune to my plot and I ended up pitfalling myself, but oh well, my escapades merited me the pity party and overcoming pitfalls Nook Mile achievement, so it was worth it, ? CJ then tried posting a smear campaign about me for trying to bury him alive, so I went to town hall to lead some community stretching to maintain my squeaky clean image. Although I of course had an ulterior motive, that being to unlock one of the final Nook Mile achievements I haven't got yet, as I have not yet participated in the group stretching. And what do you know, the bloody beaver was right there. I got the feeling that some of my villagers may have seen this smear campaign, so I decided to temporarily relocate to a cabin island. I got a super cool one today. It was the one with the vines and the glowing moss. I've never had this one before, so I was grabbing everything I could carry, including all of the plumeria bushes. I am an absolute slag for the bushes in this game. I remember peeing my pants a little bit when I saw them in the update video all that time ago. But I digress. A few nights later, I hopped on to try and catch the only critter we needed for this month, which was the blowfish, and you can only get this after 9 PM. The wiki said that this was a rarer fish, so I was expecting to be hunting for this for a while, but I actually got it super quickly and found it around after 3 fish, I think. On the way, I ran into Gulliver, so I grabbed and returned his communicator. He seems to be a reoccurring theme in my completion series so far. Then, as it was a new week, I headed back to Harv's Island to check Red's stock. I bought his real tremendous statue from him, then I chatted with Kix after his stall had opened, and paid off the remaining bells for Zahara's caravan to be opened. Once again, over 25,000 bells had already been paid for, which I was super surprised about. That was the final stall I actually needed to get, so I feel like getting this done was a great step forward to completing my save file. The next day, Isabel let me know that Red was actually visiting my island, which was very cool. Luckily, I placed my house right next to where I can get my cheap art smuggled in without anyone noticing. Not only was he selling a real mystic statue, which I needed, but also a covered round table. I was really looking forward to getting one of these back at Christmas, so I snapped it up from him. Then, to round out this episode, I grabbed all the spoils that we had gathered during this month so far and headed to Blathers to donate them, and then to of course have a coffee with Brewster. Now, one thing I did want to get done before the end of February was to have got the remaining frozen DIYs from the Snow Pals, but I kept failing to make perfect ones, which was very frustrating, so I'll either do this in my off time, or maybe later in the year I'll do a Nookazon episode where I go and buy every DIY I still need, but I'm not sure yet. I could also just wait until December when all the snow comes back, but that seems like a very long time away, and I don't want to think about the end of 2022 yet because my mind is still in 2012. But with that said, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you. I am really enjoying doing this series so far. It's really made me realize just how much there actually is to do in the game now, especially with the 2.0 update. But anyway, thank you guys again for watching. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you again soon.